LODs have always been a pain. Making them just wastes time and resources. I went through dozens of Blender add-ons, and almost all of them lazily build LODs on Blender's built-in Decimate modifier. So I built my own add-on for my workflow, one that uses the meshoptimizer library. Its algorithms simplify the mesh while preserving the model's normals and UVs as much as possible. On screen right now is a quick comparison. The add-on's simplification quality versus what Blender's Decimate modifier achieves. As you can see, at the same triangle count, the add-on gives a better visual result in preserving the object's normals, and at extreme ratios, UVs hold up significantly better. Another example of how it differs from Decimate. Let's take our mid-poly model with custom normals and reduce it to about 20%. With Decimate, it just turns to mush, broken topology, ruined shading. If we apply our algorithm and set 20% in careful mode, the mesh remains neat with smooth transitions. Sure, there are a few glitches, but for a heavily simplified LOD that's totally acceptable, working with this SimplyFive interface is quite simple. Adding our model. In the End panel, go to the plugin, pick the number of LODs you need, and hit Generate LODs. Notice that each LOD level already comes with a preset percentage and a mode that sets how aggressively it's simplified. We can also adjust how aggressively it simplifies, choosing a less aggressive or a more aggressive mode. We can also change the percentage. And we can regenerate each LOD individually if we need to. All of this is generated fairly quickly. We can step through our LODs with the slider or line them up to visually check how well they simplify. Now, onto the additional settings. This option here is called Error Absolute. It's meant for multi-material models, so the error is measured against the whole model rather than its individual parts. That way, the mesh simplifies more consistently. Merge by distance cleans up the mesh after the simplification pass. Multiple UV channels if you use more than one UV map. A word of caution here. The more UV maps, the more seams. And the harder it is for the algorithm to preserve them, the modifiers themselves are just toggles and sliders for the algorithm's options. And you can also tune them to your own preferences. Every option has a clear description in the tooltips, plus examples in the add-on documentation. We'll cover them separately in future videos. You can also save presets for specific model types, so you don't have to set everything up from scratch every time. In the add-on preferences, you can also change the suffix used for LOD names, as well as the default modifier options. That said, let's look at one important modifier option, the importance mask. Say we need to preserve a specific part of the model in detail. We can mark this area with vertex color or with a vertex group. After that, we enable importance mask and set the importance strength for that zone. As the mesh gets simplified, the algorithm will try to preserve that zone with higher priority. We can also enable hard lock for that zone so the algorithm avoids simplifying it as long as possible. In the light version, the importance mask applies to all LODs at once and has no hard lock option. Now, about the differences between the free light add-on and the full pro version. At a basic level, the light add-on is enough to cover 70% of typical LOD tasks. For the remaining 30% of trickier cases, you'll need to tweak the modifiers manually to suit a complex model. The documentation covers the feature differences in more detail. Basically, I built this add-on for myself and my own workflow. If you have any feedback or ideas on how to improve the add-on, I'd be happy to hear them.